does the quality of the alcohol that you are using or drinking actually matter? Or is it kind of all the same? A little while ago, I made this video over here called Alcohol is Poison, and so why do I still drink? In that video, and in a couple of other videos in the past, I've gotten some people who are like, oh, it's all kind of the same, you know, it's just alcohol, it's all poison, whatever, like it doesn't matter. And I do not agree with that at all, actually. It's a pretty big, important element for me, especially in my bar and restaurant and in the content that I make, that the quality of your spirit really does matter. But in this video, I want to break down why that is, especially because a lot of people, for them, it's just to get drunk. So why do they care what it tastes like? And I can somewhat understand that, but I'm also not 17 years old any longer. If you are going to poison yourself, you may as well make it good. I believe in that so much that I actually put it on a hoodie, this hoodie that I'm wearing right now. I am not someone who believes that alcohol can be healthy in any capacity or any manner. I'm a firm believer that this is in fact poison, like I spoke about in the other video. And there's a phrase that someone has said to me a long time ago, I don't remember who it was. It was that drinking is like borrowing happiness from tomorrow. I mean, I know that sounds very terrifying and scary, and maybe it doesn't necessarily get to that point for most people who are just having a little sip at the end of the night. You're basically paying a tax on your body to enjoy these spirits. If you're gonna pay the tax, shouldn't it be worth it necessarily? Like, shouldn't you enjoy doing it rather than just like, oh, I'm just trying to get drunk? If that's the end result, you're gonna get there anyway, whether or not you drink something good or drink something bad. And I don't want you to think that I'm saying, oh, go buy the most expensive stuff out there, because there's actually not always a correlation between price and quality.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
There are so many spirits. Wow, that's really fucking good. God damn, it's like a little fruity. It's beautiful too, like that color is, wow. What was I saying? Correlation between price and quality. There are so many spirits, like for example, Cimarron is for an entire liter about like 22 bucks. It's much higher quality than tequila that's more expensive than it. And so long story short, for the main point that I'm trying to make is if you're going to poison yourself, if you're going to drink, you may as well make it good. But let's dive into more about the reasoning why, the actual reasoning, rather than just like a philosophical kind of thing. And if you'll follow along with my thinking for a second, okay? Crappy spirits are like the Easy Mac of alcohol. If you were to make yourself some microwavable Easy Mac, does it technically get the job done? Sure, yeah, it does. But does it taste good? No. Are you gonna feel satisfied eating that? No. Is there likely some stuff that probably shouldn't be in your body in that Easy Mac? Probably. If you have like an Easy Mac, but then you have like a fresh made, homemade mac and cheese, and you use like 4 different kinds of cheese, you shred it, you make your own cheese sauce, you bake it in the oven, you put some breadcrumbs, you make this awesome thing for it, and you taste them side by side, you know there's no comparison. And for me, it's a very similar thing in cocktails, where if you use a crappy rum or a really great rum in a daiquiri, you're gonna taste it, especially in a cocktail like a daiquiri or a Manhattan or an old fashioned, where the spirit makes up such a large portion of the final product, you will taste it in the end. A lot of mass-produced spirits out there, they are gonna cut corners, they're going to, you know, produce it cheaply. It may be harsher, maybe more one note. It won't be very nuanced. Like, for example, I'm happy to actually pour this out. This is a tequila made by Tierra de Ensueño. This was aged in red wine casks. It's very nuanced. There's some good minerality. There's some fruity elements to it. There's so much going on. It's very complex, which you're not going to find in a mass-produced tequila, which I have talked so much about on all my platforms, all the crappily made tequilas out there. It's that difference, it's that attention to detail, it's that care, it's the nuance, it's just overall done in a way that will taste better. And honestly, drinking crappy spirits is one of the reasons that so many people say, oh, I hate this spirit, or I hate that spirit. And I can't tell you the amount of times people have been like, oh, I hate mezcal, or I hate gin. And the truth was that they just had never had a good representation of what that spirit could be or was. And once I introduce them into it, I'm now able to make people, you know, into believers, if you will. Every spirit out there, it's really weird. I think that there's this thing that happens with alcohol that people start to treat it like politics and sports, where they like find one brand that they enjoyed when they were like 17. That's the only thing they'll drink forever. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people who treat it that way. And so to recap, crappy spirits are like Easy Mac, right? Like maybe they get the job done, but they don't taste that good. And they're gonna make you think it's just not good for you, you know? Not that any of this is good for you, it just tastes bad. If you're gonna, you know, yeah. Anyway, next point. Alcohol and spirits are cultural. One of the things that I like to talk a lot about at my bar and restaurant and with guests is every single culture and group of people in the history of this world have found a way to make alcohol before ever communicating with one another and like trading secrets. The Japanese created sake. In Mexico, they created pulque, and then eventually that became so many other things. Wine, beer, all cultures found a way to make alcohol. And usually alcohol was always meant to bring people together. A lot of times it was used in a ceremonial aspect, done for special occasions. And I know of villages in Mexico that make special pechuga mezcals for like Christmas time or for, you know, I think the solstice. There are villages in Peru that make specific types of pisco only depending on like when something really nice happens, or like a ceremonial thing happens throughout the year. And so spirits are cultural. And when you drink crappy spirits, they strip all of that away just for the money element of it. If you've watched my channel any length of time, especially recently, like you'll see me making videos about the heritage of tequila. And you know, I recently was down visiting the Fortaleza distillery, or at least the video, I posted the video recently. I was down there last year, and that is chock full of history. And they have been making tequila for, you know, well over 100 years, their family, and tequila production has been going on for even over like 300 years. And it's passed down from different groups of people down to their sons, and then it goes down the line, and it's just a way for people to, that's their identity, right? I like to give the example of specific mezcal. A lot of mezcal is so labor intensive. These plants will grow for, you know, anywhere between like 5, sometimes 15 years. Like I have a bottle of the Real Minero up there that the average age of agave in that bottle is 14 years old. So these aren't people who are like, oh, let's make millions, you know, making the spirit. It's more like, this is what we've been doing for the existence of our families, it's our heritage, and we're going to continue doing it. So in a way, they're trying to like bottle their cultural essence. And that actually extends across the board, across most spirits. Some of them are not as labor intensive as mezcal to make, but a lot of them are. It takes a lot of aging, or there are a lot of other elements that will play into that. And so in that way, in my opinion, to drink well or to drink good spirits, it's to live well. It's to experience another culture through glass. It's to bring people together over something good. Again, tying all this back in, if you're going to poison yourself, shouldn't it be that almost transcending? Shouldn't the experience transcend just drinking? Like, English is hard, guys. It's very hard. Shouldn't it be something that is bigger than just sitting down and drinking? Like, yeah, it can be just about bringing people together. That's important. But like, what if you bring people together, but then you also have a really great thing to sip on? And in a cocktail, you might be thinking, oh, but like a cocktail will drown out the flavor. Not really. Not if it's a well-made cocktail that accentuates that spirit rather than hides it and just uses the spirit for the alcoholic content. Yeah, I mean, I feel so strongly about this that I actually named my newsletter In Good Spirits, and I made this hoodie and a bunch of other stuff based off of this concept. And I realized I just never talked about it on the channel, maybe in these words. I tell people all the time, like my back bar here, there's not a single bottle on my back bar that I don't believe in, that I didn't choose specifically to be there, because I believe in the quality, the heritage, where it comes from, and I believe that it deserves its space on our back bar. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I don't know. These videos where I'm just kind of off the dome, I have like a loose outline rather than a lot of the other videos I do. I hope you guys are enjoying them. I've been enjoying getting to share my thoughts on these things a little bit more, especially in video format. But if you haven't checked out my newsletter, check it out. These are the kind of things that I talk about in the newsletter every single week. The link is down in the description, and you might be able to get a dope ass hoodie like this if you do that. So just something to think about. Cheers.